The great hall of the Silver Moon Pack stood silent in the golden light of dawn. Candles flickered along stone walls that had witnessed 100 mating ceremonies before this one. The air smelled of pine and honeysuckle, carried in through tall windows that overlooked the forest. Everything was perfect, everything was prepared, and Elara wished she could be anywhere else. She stood at the edge of the hall, her fingers twisting the fabric of her ceremonial gown. The dress was beautiful, she had to admit. Pale silver silk that caught the morning light and made her look like moonbeams had been woven into cloth. Her mother had cried when she saw her in it. Her father had smiled with pride. But Elara felt like she was wearing chains. Around her, members of the pack whispered and smiled. They were excited. A mating ceremony with the Alpha King himself was an honor beyond measure. Girls had dreamed of this. Families had schemed for it. And somehow, impossibly, Elara had been chosen. She didn't want to be chosen. The Alpha King Daemon had arrived 3 days ago with his entourage. Elara had seen him from a distance, tall and broad-shouldered, with dark hair that fell past his shoulders and eyes that seemed to see through everything. He moved like a predator, all controlled power and careful grace. When he walked into a room, people stopped breathing. When he spoke, his voice commanded instant obedience. He terrified her. Not because he was cruel. By all accounts, he was a fair ruler, just and protective of his people. But he was so far above her, so impossibly powerful, that the thought of being bound to him for life made her feel like she was drowning. The ceremony was a formality, really. The Alpha King had made his choice. The elders had blessed it. All that remained was for Elara to stand beside him, speak the ancient words, and accept the bond that would tie their souls together forever. Forever. The word echoed in her mind like a prison door slamming shut. Elara. Her mother appeared beside her, smoothing an invisible wrinkle from the gown. You look pale. Are you well? Elara forced a smile. I'm fine, Mother. Just nervous. That's natural. Her mother's eyes were soft with understanding, but also firm with expectation. Every girl is nervous on her mating day. But you are so fortunate, my darling. The Alpha King chose you. You will be queen. You will want for nothing except choice, Elara thought. Except freedom. Except love. But she didn't say these things. How could she? Her family was so proud. Her pack was so honored. To refuse would bring shame on everyone she cared about. And more than that, one did not refuse the Alpha King. It simply wasn't done. So she nodded, and her mother kissed her forehead, and the musicians began to play. The ceremony began. Elara walked down the long aisle between rows of pack members who smiled and bowed their heads. At the far end of the hall, standing before the elder who would officiate, was Daemon, the Alpha King, her future mate. He watched her approach with those penetrating dark eyes, his expression unreadable. He wore black leather and fur with a silver circlet resting on his brow. He looked like something out of legend, powerful and ancient and utterly untouchable. Elara's step slowed. Her heart hammered against her ribs. With each step closer, the reality of what was happening pressed down on her like a physical weight. This was real. This was happening. In moments, she would be bound to this man, this stranger, for the rest of her life. She reached the front of the hall, stood beside him. The elder began to speak the ritual words, his voice rising and falling in the ancient pattern that had joined mates for generations. Elara heard none of it. All she could feel was panic rising in her chest, filling her lungs, making it hard to breathe. Her vision narrowed, her hands trembled, and then the elder turned to her, asking for her acceptance, asking her to speak the words that would seal her fate. Something inside her snapped. I can't, she whispered. The hall went silent. The elder blinked in confusion. Daemon's eyes sharpened, fixed on her face. I can't do this, Elara said louder now. Her voice shook, but the words came faster, tumbling out before she could stop them. I don't want this. I don't want to be queen. I don't want to be your mate. I don't even know you. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Her mother made a small pained sound. The elder looked horrified. But Elara couldn't stop. All the fear and frustration and helplessness that had been building inside her for 3 days came pouring out. You chose me, but you never asked me. No one asked me. Everyone just decided my life for me, and I'm supposed to smile and be grateful, but I'm not. I'm terrified, and I'm angry. She turned to face Daemon fully, her hands clenched into fists. You're the Alpha King, you can have anyone you want. Why me? Why someone who doesn't want this? Is it because you're so powerful that you think everyone should just fall at your feet? The words were barely out of her mouth when she realized what she'd done. She'd just insulted the Alpha King, in public, during a sacred ceremony. The consequences would be severe. She'd brought shame on her entire pack, but in that moment Elara didn't care. At least she'd spoken the truth. At least for once in her life she'd said what she actually felt. Daemon looked at her in silence. His expression was still unreadable, but something flickered in his eyes. Surprise maybe, or anger. Elara braced herself for his fury. Instead he did something completely unexpected. He laughed. Not a mocking laugh or a cruel one. A genuine laugh, deep and warm, that transformed his entire face. The rigid mask of the Alpha King fell away, and for a moment he looked almost human. Finally, he said, his voice carrying clearly through the stunned silence of the hall. Someone with fire. Elara stared at him, completely thrown. This wasn't the reaction she'd expected. Around them, the pack members looked equally confused. Daemon turned to the elder in the assembled crowd. Pause the ceremony, he said. It was an order, delivered with absolute authority. Then he looked back at Elara. Walk with me. It wasn't really a request, but it wasn't quite a command either. Before Elara could respond, Daemon was already moving, striding toward a side door that led to the gardens. After a moment's hesitation, she followed, feeling the weight of hundreds of eyes on her back. The garden was quiet after the crowded hall. Morning sunlight filtered through old oak trees, casting dappled shadows on stone pathways. Birds sang in the branches. A fountain bubbled somewhere nearby. It was peaceful in a way that made the tension in Elara's shoulders begin to ease just slightly. Daemon walked several paces ahead of her, then stopped beside a bench overlooking a rose garden. He didn't sit. For a long moment he just stood there, his back to her, silent. When he finally spoke, his voice was different. Quieter. Less the Alpha King and more just a man. Do you know why I chose you, Elara? She swallowed hard. No. 3 days ago when I arrived, I watched your pack. I saw how the unmated women looked at me. They all wanted the same thing, power, status, the crown. He turned to face her and his expression was weary. Not one of them saw me. They saw the Alpha King, a title, a position, but not the person underneath. He took a step closer and Elara fought the urge to back away. Then I saw you, he continued, standing at the edge of the gathering looking like you wanted to disappear. When our eyes met, you didn't look at me with desire or ambition. You looked at me with honesty, and a little bit of fear, yes, but honest fear, not calculation, not scheming, just genuine feeling. Elara's breath caught. She'd had no idea he'd noticed her that day. She'd tried so hard to be invisible. I chose you because I thought you might be different, Daemon said. I thought you might see past the crown. And I was right, wasn't I? Because you just rejected me, in front of my entire court, during the mating ceremony itself? He smiled again, and there was no anger in it, only a kind of rueful amusement. Do you have any idea how refreshing that is? Elara blinked. I insulted you. I embarrassed you. You told the truth. Daemon's smile faded, but his eyes remained gentle. Elara, I've been Alpha King for 10 years. In that time, no one has said no to me, not once. Everyone agrees with everything I say, praises every decision I make, laughs at every joke. It's exhausting, it's lonely, and it's dangerous because I need people who will tell me when I'm wrong. He gestured toward the hall they'd left behind. I thought finding a mate would change that. I thought if I chose someone genuine, someone honest, I'd finally have one person in my life who would be real with me. But I made a mistake. I was so focused on finding someone different that I forgot the most important thing. What? Elara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Choice, Daemon said simply. I forgot to give you a choice. I saw what I wanted and took it, just like you said. And I'm sorry. The apology hit Elara like a physical blow. The Alpha King was apologizing to her. It felt impossible. I don't understand, she said. If you're sorry, then why did you laugh? Why are we here? Daemon's expression turned thoughtful. I laughed because you were magnificent. Standing there, terrified and angry and brave, saying things that could get you exiled just because they were true. That's the kind of person I've been looking for. Someone with fire, with courage, with honesty. He took another step closer, and this time Elara didn't retreat. But I was wrong to trap you in this. So I'm giving you the choice I should have offered from the beginning." His voice was very gentle now. "Walk away, Elara. Go back into that hall and tell them the ceremony is cancelled. I won't stop you. Your pack won't be punished. You'll be free." Elara's heart raced. Freedom. He was offering her freedom. Everything she'd wanted. The chains were opening, so why did she hesitate? "Or," Demon continued, "give me a chance. Not as the Alpha King to a subject, not as a predetermined mate, but as Demon to Elara. Two people getting to know each other. No ceremony. No pressure. Just time to see if there might be something real between us." He held out his hand, palm up, not reaching for her but offering. "The choice is yours," he said. "Whatever you decide, I'll respect it." Elara looked at his hand, then at his face, really looked at him for the first time since he'd arrived, and she saw something she hadn't seen before. Past the power and the presence and the Alpha King authority, she saw loneliness. She saw someone who was as trapped by his position as she'd felt trapped by hers. She saw someone who wanted more than anything to be seen as a person. She understood that. She understood it completely, slowly, carefully. Elara reached out and placed her hand in his. His fingers closed around hers, warm and gentle. "I can't promise I'll choose you," she said, her voice steady now. "I can't promise I'll fall in love with you or want to be your mate." "I know," Demon said, "but I can promise to give you a chance. To get to know you. To see who you really are underneath everything else." She took a deep breath. "That's all I can offer. That's more than enough." The smile that spread across Demon's face was radiant. "It's everything, actually." They stood there in the garden, hands clasped, as the morning sun rose higher and warmed the air around them. From the hall, Elara could hear confused voices, people wondering what was happening, what would come next. She'd figure it out. They'd figure it out together. There would be explanations to give, traditions to navigate, expectations to manage. It wouldn't be easy, but for the first time since she'd heard she was chosen, Elara felt something other than fear. She felt hope. And as Demon squeezed her hand gently and led her back toward the hall to face whatever came next, she realized something else. She'd found her voice. She'd spoken her truth. And instead of being punished for it, she'd been heard. Maybe, just maybe, this could work after all. Not because she was chosen, but because she chose. And that made all the difference.